Today we are going to do the recap of the movie, Fast X. A mafia king, Hernan Reyes briefs his only son Dante about his enemies Don and Brian who steal his money from his vault. Hernan and Dante attempt to stop them, but Tom drives swiftly and tosses the vault and Dante into the sea while Hernan dies in this chase. However, Dante survives this and pledges to take revenge. In the present day in Los Angeles, Don gives driving lessons to his son Little B. He also arranges a family feast for his friends. Roman, Tay, and Han are present. Later, his friends travel to Rome as Mr. Nobody assigns them a new mission. However, Don and his wife stay home with their son. One night, Dom's old enemy, Cypher, visits his house, all drenched in blood, to inform him about the upcoming danger. She is the same woman who killed his girlfriend a few years ago. So Dom gets angry and demands her to explain the reason for her visit. She reveals that Dante blackmailed her men and plans to kill Don and his family. The next morning, Mr. Nobody takes Cypher into his custody and confirms her statement about Dante. He further states that he didn't assign any project to Dom's friends. So Dom realizes must be a trap by their enemies and tries contacting their friends that they cannot contact them. So Don and his wife Letty visit Rome to assist their friends. So they send their son Little B to the care of his Aunt Mia Toretto in Los Angeles. She gets very excited to spend some quality time with Little B, but her plans for some nice time are disrupted as a group of men sent by an agency tries to kidnap Little B. Luckily, Jakob arrives at the scene and rescues Little B and his sister Mia. He asks Mia to go alone while taking Little B with him. Meanwhile, Tay and Roman get hold of the truck in Rome and somehow get inside it, but they realize that they are trapped in the truck that Dante controls. Soon, Tay opens the truck from behind, only to find a huge bomb ready to destroy Vatican City. Suddenly, the truck gets hit and the bomb falls on the road, rolling around, causing destruction everywhere. Meanwhile, Dante informs the police authorities that Dom has planted the bomb, so the police start chasing Don and his team on suspicion of terrorism. Dom tries his best to divert the bomb into the nearby river. After some struggle, he succeeds in tossing the bomb into the river and saves the whole city that the surrounding area gets damaged due to the explosion. Letty tries her best to capture Dante by following him, but he runs away while she gets arrested by the police. The news of terrorism in Rome spreads throughout the world, and authorities claim Don and his team are involved in crimes and are fugitives. At the agency, Mr. Nobody's daughter Tess meets the new boss, Ames. She quickly realizes that unlike her father, Ames is highly sure of Don and his team being criminals. When she tries to convince him that Don and his associates are good people, he shows her their charge sheet and promises to arrest them as his priority. Tess leaves soon, but steals a powerful device called God's Ice from the agency's head office. Dom meets with Joe's mother, Queenie, at a safe location, who assures him that his team is safe. However, Letty got arrested by police while chasing Dante. She further states that Mr. Nobody is missing, so they no longer have the agency's support. Later that evening, Dom meets with Tess at a bar and she informs him about the new boss, Ames, who is determined to arrest him and his team. But Tom requests her to rescue his wife Letty from prison. At first Tess hesitates, but later agrees as Dom gives her his necklace. Tom's team, Tay, Roman, Han and Ramsey flee Rome and reach London via container, but they realize that Dante has stolen all their money from their accounts. Luckily, Roman has the money stuck to his body, and they prepare to buy equipment from dark sides to avoid being traced by the police. Roman and get into a fight at the shop owned by Ramsey's friend. The shop owner warns them that their faces are all over the internet, so they run away from there to save their lives. Meanwhile, Tess approaches Letty in prison and tries to rescue her, but Letty doesn't believe her intentions, so Tess shows her Don's necklace. Tess then whispers her plan to Letty and they fight. Later, guards take Letty to the medical facility for her one treatment. However, when Ames is informed about Tess and Letty getting into a fight, he feels suspicious. After watching the video footage, he realizes that Tess is helping Letty escape the prison. so he orders his team to monitor Tess to rest on. Soon, Dom reaches Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and meets his old friend Diogo, who runs a street racing club. Now he meets his ex-girlfriend's sister, Isabel, and finds out she participates in street racing contests. Suddenly, Dante approaches and threatens Dom, but Diogo and his associates protect Dom, and Dante is forced to back down. They resolve the intense fight through a racing contest where Dom, Dante, Isabel, and Diogo participate in their fancy cars. After a while, Dante reveals that he is cheated by putting bombs on Diogo and Isabel's cars. So now Dom has to choose between saving Isabel or Diogo. He chooses Isabel and Diogo dies in a car explosion. Ultimately, Isabel gets injured and Dom takes care of her while Dante celebrates his victory. Jakob and Little B enjoy quality time during the car ride as Jakob tells him stories about his childhood. Soon they reach a petrol station and change their clothes to avoid being recognized by the agency. Later they reach the airport, the Jakob and Little behind their faces with hats and stay clear from cameras. When they board the airplane, Jakob realizes his enemies are following him, so he intends to lure them into the bathroom individually. However, he realizes he can't fight too many enemies alone and decides to fly away in his private jet. Secretly placed in the airplane, they reach their safe destination in Portugal, where Dom promises to meet them. Meanwhile, Don and Isabel talk about her sister Elena, and Isabel realizes that her sister might have a file about Hernan Reyes. So she searches her cabinets and finds a file that states that Hernan has a son named Dante. Dante has a record of imprisonment, but his dad always helped him out. His file also indicates that Dante had a mental illness since childhood. They noticed that Dante eventually became heir to all his father's property, which he sold except for one abandoned building. So Dom decides to visit that place to confront Dante, but on his way out Ames men try to attack him, but residents save Dom and he leaves sad and sound. Meanwhile, Ramsey and T meet with Shaw, who initially acts hostile toward them but later joins them as agency agents attack their place. After a long hard fight, they get rid of agents from the agency and Joy hands. Ramsey has a revelation that their money has been transferred worldwide to pay criminals against them. Anyone who helped them is the main target of criminals, including Shaw's mother, Queenie. Upon watching his mother in danger, Shaw gets worried and takes out his weapons to protect her. Dom reaches Danny's place and gets surprised to find out his family pictures are all over the place, which indicates that Dante has been stalking his family. Suddenly, the cell phone rings and when Don picks up the call, Dante threatens Dom about harming his family as revenge for his dad. Ames appears from the background to rest on, and surprisingly, Dom surrenders quietly. When Ames questions him about not putting up a fight, Dom replies that there is no point in protesting if Ames doesn't trust him. Tom quickly holds the seatbelt tightly when Danny's army attacks their vehicle. Ames now realizes his mistake about Dom and lets him go to fight for his life. Eventually, Dante approaches the location with Isabel, whom he kidnapped from her house. So Ames and Dom keep fighting Danny's army while they try to rescue Isabel. Suddenly Tess arrives from the background and points her gun at Dante. So he leaves Isabel, but unfortunately Danny's men from the helicopter target Tess. Pause 0.2. Getting her injured, Dante then uses the situation to steal God's eye from Tess. He threatens Dom to locate his son soon and leaves. Later, Isabel takes Tess to the hospital while Ames offers to assist Dom in rescuing his son, and they get on a helicopter to reach Portugal immediately. When Letty wakes up from unconsciousness, she finds herself in a medical facility. Suddenly Cypher turns on anesthesia in the air conditioning system, and all staff feigns on the spot while she rescues Letty. But Letty feels very hostile towards her due to their past hatred, and they start fighting each other on the way out. After some time, Letty cools down and decides to follow instructions from Cypher. She ends up in Antarctica with Cypher as they both call for help. When Jakob spots his enemies approaching their hiding place, he rides his car full of explosives to take Little B to a safe place while Jakob and Little B are on their way. Dom realizes that his enemies are too many for Jakob to fight alone, so he decides to jump from a helicopter utilizing his car. Soon, Dante starts following Jakob and Little B in one lane, while Dom tries to fight off enemies from across the lane. Dom orders Jakob to take Little B towards the helicopter to get rescue, but the rocket launcher of his car gets jammed, and Little B tries to solve the issue by checking it from behind. Unfortunately, Dante kidnaps him in his car. From there, suddenly the petrol tank of Jakob's car starts leaking, and he decides to sacrifice himself to rescue Little B. Dom tries to prevent him from his idea, but Jakob consciously crashes into a huge army of Dante to stop them. Little B cries in agony as Jakob's car erupts in flames, but it damages many of the enemies before getting destroyed. Don chases Dante and advises Little B to jump on his instinct as he gets around Danny's car. At a certain point, Little B opens the car door and jumps into his dad's car. Dom then speeds away while getting instructions about directions from Ames. Ames informs Dom to reach the dam where the rescue will happen. He also informs that his team is also on their way to assist him. But when Dom reaches the place, he gets surprised to get trapped by Danny's trucks, ready to crush his car. Suddenly, Dante appears and reveals that this has been his plan to create a trap for Dom. According to him, Ames is also his associate from the beginning. But Don doesn't get discouraged by betrayal and calls his team to back away from the track. Unfortunately, his team arrives there and Ames fires at them with a missile, causing their helicopter to explode in flames. However, Little B encourages Dom and he speeds away toward the dam as the trucks crash into each other, causing a huge explosion. Tom speeds away towards the dam walls as the flames reach near them. So he turns on his nitro speed, and they crash into the dam just as flames erupt across them. Don and Little B are underwater, getting out of the car and swimming to the surface. They then swim towards a safe place, and Dom hugs Little B. But to their dismay, Dante isn't done with them yet. He announces that it's time for them to die as he plants a bomb on the dam's surface. Just as the bomb is about to explode, Dom looks towards his son as they make a plan to escape it. Cypher and Letty keep walking on the ice when suddenly a submarine emerges from the ground, and they get surprised to see their rescuer, who is none other than Giselle, their long-lost family member, whom they thought was dead until now. Later, a police officer seen doing his mission with his team when suddenly he receives a call from Dante, who states that Don played some part in killing his father, that the person pulling the trigger was him. So Dante warns him that he is the next target, and as the man removes his mask, it's revealed that he is Hobbs, who is not afraid of facing Dante.